the 10th gathering of ParlAmericas Parliamentary Network for Gender Equality. Climate change poses a serious global threat that is increasingly being felt in many areas of the Americas and the Caribbean. All members of the population experience the impacts of climate change differently, but some groups, including women, are likely to experience compound levels of risk. These groups also tend to have unequal access to decision-making processes at all levels, which hinders their ability to contribute their knowledge and experience to climate-related planning, policy making, and implementation. ParlAmericas recently held its 10th gathering of the Parliamentary Network for Gender Equality under the rubric Gender-Responsive Climate Action. Parliamentarians can play a critical role in ensuring that their countries and legislators adopt a gender-responsive approach to climate action. This will help to ensure that entire populations are involved in and protected by efforts to understand and adapt to climate impacts. The Parliament channel sat down with Catharina Cuellar, advisor on gender and health from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO.
For us at the Pan American Health Organization, we have just over a decade of having approved our gender equality policy for health, which is a commitment by all the member states to mainstreaming gender across all health policies, programs, etc. That is our framework, and in reality, applying that to the issue of climate change and the possible impacts on health is natural. Parallel to all these efforts, we also have a long-standing response from the Pan American Health Organization to the issue of disaster risk reduction. That's another entry point, and perhaps the one that's more recent with regards to intersectionality in addressing climate change and health with a gendered approach would be the adoption of our strategy on universal access to health and universal health coverage. There are other entry points to address the issue, but these would be the three main ones that could help us understand the impact, the resiliency of the response, and the improved response generally to the impact of climate change. For us, the idea is, as with the international community and obviously all the member states, to recognize their different risks, their different responses, there's different impact on men, women, boys and girls in our communities. Understanding the gender dynamic of that means literally assessing, conducting the right assessments to determine what are those different needs, what are the different impacts, and also what are the ways to build the capacities to respond differently so that no one is left behind, to reduce the impact on the different populations. PAHO supports countries with that role. Countries are committed within the Sustainable Development Goals to also aim for inclusive development, and perhaps the best linkage is to having health and well-being. And so part of our role is to accompany countries in that process. I am very pleased to say that countries in general, under the climate change commitments and alongside the Sustainable Development Goals, are readily embracing the issue of the need to have stronger responses for climate change. This has facilitated that countries perhaps enhance what they were already doing with regards to reaching gender equality commitments. To some degree, countries have not been moving as fast with regards to fulfilling their commitments for gender equality, and also within that, gender equality in health. There are significant advances, but we could say more action is needed. We need to accelerate actions. So in this regard, this is an excellent opportunity to intersect the different commitments and to truly address the needs of all the communities. Specifically with regards to gender equality in health, the countries themselves have identified some of the limitations and challenges. And one of the first one that comes to mind is the issue of political will. Countries have committed to gender equality. Countries appreciate that they wish to have health for all. And to do this, they need to address different needs of the population. Yet we are falling behind. There are gaps with regards to our health outcomes. Many of these can be appreciated when we look at the indicators and statistics with regards to improved health outcomes for women in certain areas, especially sexual reproductive health, for men in certain areas, for example, high mortality due to external causes, injury, violence, homicide, and even suicide. Many of these are rooted in differences with regards to health norms, health behavior, and even perhaps the way health systems are organized to respond to the specific needs. And so political will is what has been identified. That's one, not the only one, with regards to sustaining the priority or the resources needed to address this issue. Another challenge countries have identified beside political will is the expanding concept of gender. Today, we need to address gender in a different way, a far more inclusive way. Perhaps the best framework to be able to do it is the right to health. This allows us to address these issues with equity and solidarity, and if we put all the energies together, countries may move faster with this. But this part has created some difficulties. And the last challenge I would like to mention, which by acknowledging it, countries can address it, is the challenge regarding the monitoring and evaluation. There are few mechanisms in place across our region. There are, but few, that promote a sustained and natural process whereby countries account for their advances in gender equality in health. This meeting is promoting actually the coming together of different areas, so states can define how to best use the opportunity with climate change, because it's just another way of looking at, from the health sector for us and with the member states, the idea of leaving no one behind, having universal access and universal health coverage for everyone, everywhere. And so we have wonderful opportunities now. We have been here with parliamentarians. That speaks for itself in how far-reaching the impact of the event can be. But the idea of listening to all that exists in our region, and if only we could coordinate it better to advance national agendas, that would be great. In terms of a take-home message that from PAHO we would like to give, and also we take back, investing in health is a key factor to build health resiliency. So that is the message with regards to disasters, with regards to the impact of climate change. To make our health sector more responsible and resilient, we need to invest more in health.